The snow fell in heavy, lazy flakes outside the glass walls of Ethan Cole's office. The city below glimmered like a field of diamonds, but to him it all felt hollow. Another Christmas Eve, another year of silence. He sat behind his massive mahogany desk, tie loosened, the faint hum of the heater his only company. Ethan Cole, 36, CEO of a billion-dollar tech company, was the kind of man people called untouchable. Successful, brilliant, and entirely alone. His friends used to joke that he'd marry his work before any woman, and honestly, they weren't wrong. He never believed in blind dates. Why would anyone leave something as important as love to chance? He'd scoff whenever his assistant or his best friend tried to set him up. Love to Ethan was a distraction. Messy. Unpredictable. Inefficient. But that all changed the night of the Christmas dare. It began as a simple dinner with his old college friends people. He rarely saw but tolerated once a year for the sake of nostalgia. Laughter echoed in the cozy restaurant as glasses clinked and Christmas lights blinked overhead.
Ow.
And as usual, they teased him for being single. "Come on, Ethan," his friend Lucas said with a grin. "You've got everything: money, cars, a penthouse, but not a single person to share it with." "That's tragic, man," Ethan smirked. "I prefer peaceful." "Peaceful," Lucas laughed. "It's lonely," admitted. He didn't, but the words stung. Lay then, Avalikas' wife, leaned forward with a mischievous spark in her eyes. "About a dare." Ethan raised a brow. "I don't do dares." "You will tonight," Ava said. "You'll go on one blind date before Christmas ends. There's no excuses, no assistant screening her. Just one chance. If you hate it, we'll never bother you again." The table erupted in laughter. Confident he'd prove them wrong, Ethan agreed. "Fine, but don't expect me to fall in love." That's how on Christmas night, Ethan found himself driving through a quiet, snow-covered suburb to meet a stranger named Claire Dawson. The directions led him to a small, warm-looking cottage at the end of a quiet lane. Lights glowed from the windows, and a tiny snowman stood guard by the front steps. He almost turned around. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. But something about the golden light spilling through the curtains made him pause. Against his better judgment, he rang the doorbell. A few seconds later, the door opened and there she was. Claire wasn't what he expected. No expensive dress, no heavy makeup. She wore a soft gray sweater and held a mug of cocoa, her hair tied loosely back. She smiled, and for some reason, that simple warmth hit him harder than he wanted to admit. "Hi," she said. "You must be Ethan." He nodded. "And you're Claire. I'm sorry if I'm late. My GPS hates snow." She laughed a small musical sound. "It's okay. You're right on time." He stepped inside, surprised by how cozy her home felt. The smell of cinnamon, a crackling fire, and Christmas music playing from an old record player. It was a world so different from his sterile penthouse. They sat down, and the conversation started awkwardly. But as the night went on, something unexpected happened. Ethan began to laugh. Really laugh. Claire had a quiet humor, the kind that snuck up on you. She told him about her job as a children's art teacher, her students' wild imaginations, and how Christmas was her favorite time of year. She asked about his work, and he admitted, "It's consuming, but it's all I know." She tilted her head. "Then maybe it's time you learned something new." Her words lingered. Then came the moment that changed everything. As they were finishing dinner, a crash echoed from outside. Claire rushed to the window. Oh no, the neighbor's dog must have knocked over the snowman again. She grabbed her coat and ran out into the snow without hesitation. Ethan followed, smiling as he watched her laugh while rebuilding the little snowman, her cheeks pink from the cold. He joined her, and for the first time in years he felt something real. When she turned toward him, snowflakes caught in her hair like tiny stars. "You don't smile much, do you?" she teased. "Not until tonight," he admitted. They stood there, snow falling softly around them. But just as he thought he might actually enjoy this foolish dare, Claire's phone buzzed. Her expression shifted. "Sorry, I have to go. One of my students. His mom's sick, and I promised to bring over some gifts tonight. It's kind of our thing." Ethan was stunned. "On Christmas night, especially on Christmas night," she said with a soft smile. Without thinking, he said, "I'll drive you." That evening, Ethan watched her deliver small gifts to a struggling family in a rundown apartment building. The little boy's face lit up when he saw her, and Ethan felt something twist in his chest. Compassion. On the drive back, The car was peaceful. You really do this every year? He asked. She nodded. Christmas isn't about what we get, Ethan. It's about what we give. Ethan, when no one sees. He stared at her, the woman who had melted years of ice in just a few hours. You know, he said quietly, I thought blind dates were a joke, and now, she asked, smiling gently. Now, I think, maybe I was the joke. She laughed softly, and the sound stayed with him long after he dropped her off. The next morning, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about her. He didn't check his email or stock prices. He drove back to the cottage, only knowing that he had to see her again. But when he arrived, the house was quiet. A for rent sign hung crookedly by the fence. His heart sank. After calling the number, he found out Claire had left early that morning to visit her mother in a small town hours away. He hesitated only for a moment before turning his car around. When he finally found her standing outside a small bakery, helping her elderly mother hang Christmas decorations, she looked shocked. Ethan, what are you doing here? He smiled nervously, holding a small snow globe. He'd bought the one she'd admired the night before. I figured if I could run a company, I could manage one more dare. She laughed softly. And what's that? Daring to believe in love again. Her eyes shimmered. The snow began to fall again, soft and endless, as he added quietly, if you'll let me. She took the snow globe and whispered, only if you promise not to wait for another dare. He smiled. Deal. That Christmas, the man who thought blind dates were a joke found something far rarer than success. He found warmth, kindness, and the kind of love that didn't need grand gestures, just a heart willing to open. And as snow covered the world outside their little bakery, Ethan realized that sometimes the greatest miracles don't come from plans or power. They come from the moments we never expect, and the people who open their doors when we finally knock. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content that warms the heart. We'll see you in the next video.